Hi guys, welcome to day 4 of the Arora AKT 30-day challenge. I'm Dr. Arora from Arora Medical Education, and every single day for the final 30 days before your exam, we're going to hit you with a question that you can do in real time, feel that pressure of time ticking down, and then a bit of teaching from a knowledge and a technique point of view. Now, this is the first one that we're doing from a stats point of view. The first 3 days, thank you for all the comments and the kind words about the first 3 days. I'm glad they're helping. The first 2 days have been about clinical. This is the first question about stats. Now, we give you 57 seconds for each question, simply because when you divide the time that you get for AKT amongst the number of questions you have to do, it's about on average 57 seconds that you get per question. So I'm going to go silent for 57 seconds. I'm going to switch screen, have a think, try and jot an answer down, think about what you'd put in the exam. Please jot it down if you can so I can see what the spread of answers is, and then we'll go for a teaching session afterwards. So I'm going to start the timer now, 57 seconds, off we go. Okay guys, that's time, so that's 57 seconds. Well done if you got an answer. If you just sat there in complete blankness for the last 57 seconds because you haven't started stats yet, or you have no idea what this is all about, then I'm really glad that you're watching this video, and hopefully you use the 57 seconds with some value. But the answer is E. Well done if you got E. For those guys who have practiced risk ratios, odds ratios, hopefully would have got the right answer as E. Let's go and explain why this is the case. So, odds ratios and risk ratios are completely different things, and we talk about them in detail with examples and the difference between them on our stats online courses, but this is about odds ratios, so we're going to get this bit right in your mind. So you look at 500 patients who had bowel cancer and 200 patients who didn't have bowel cancer. So you've got the cases here, there are 500 cases, and you've got 200 controls, so people who didn't have the outcome, to see if eating a particular spice affected outcome. So this is an example of a case control study. So they're usually retrospective, so looking backwards. So you start at your endpoints, your cases and controls, and you look backwards, and usually you'll see odds ratio questions being asked about when it comes to case control studies. When you get prospective or cohort studies, then you tend to get risk ratio questions, but odds ratio tends to be for case control. So of the 500 who had bowel cancer, the 500 cases, 50 regularly ate the spice when you look back, and of the 200 without bowel cancer, 5 of them regularly ate the spice. What is the odds ratio of eating the spice? So remember, to create a ratio, you first got to work out 2 individual odds. So you've got to work out the odds for this bracket and the odds for this bracket, and then you can divide one by the other, and that gives you the 4.34. So of the 500 cases, 50 had regularly eaten spices, and of the 200 controls, 5 had regularly eaten the spice. So you've got to work out the individual odds first. So to calculate odds, you look at the number of events. So in this case, it's 50 people had eaten the spice, over the number of non-events. So it's 500 minus the 50, which is 450. So 50 divided by 450 is 0.111. That's the odds of being exposed to the spice in the cases group. Then you got the absolute odds. So if you had to calculate that as a question, that's what they're asking you to do. That's how you do it. If it's asking you how to calculate the odds in the control group, then you do the same thing but using these numbers. So the number of events, which is 5, over the number of non-events, which is 200 minus 5, i.e. 195. So the odds of being exposed in the control group was 0.0256. Now this is very different to risk. Now if you calculate risk, it would be 50 over 500 and 5 over 200. Whereas with odds, it's different. So you've got to get that bit right before you calculate ratios. Now, if you calculated 2 risks, by the way, and did a risk ratio, you might have got the answer as 2.37. So if that's what you got as your answer, then you've just done the risk way round. Now, you've got two individual odds. Now you've got to calculate the odds ratio. So it's the odds in the cases group divided by the odds in the control group. So 0.111 over 0.0256, which gives you the 4.34, which is the answer that we just mentioned, option E. As the odds ratio is greater than 1, this is telling us that the rate of bowel cancer is increased through exposure to the spice based on those numbers. So a couple of take homes from this particular video. Number one, if you get a question on ratios, you've got to work out two individual things first, whether it's two risks to work out a risk ratio or whether it's two odds to work out an odds ratio. The second takeaway point is that the way you calculate odds is very different to the way you calculate risk. Odds is the number of events over the number of non-events. Risk is the number of events over the number at risk in total. And that's very different. If you get that bit wrong, you'll get the next bit wrong. And then to work out a ratio, it's divide one over the other. So if you follow those steps in a couple of examples, hopefully you'll get this bit right. We cover this in more detail, like I said, in our stats online courses. But before we go on to tomorrow, I want to tell you about our virtual Big Mock AKT course, which is coming up soon. Remember, the code Arora Video 10 gets you 10% off any thing on our website for AKT, whether it's the live course, the online courses, the audios, the mock exams, or the flashcards. And this is quite an intense day. We send you a mock exam out in advance. You do it at home on your own desktop or laptop under exam conditions. And the reason that you do a full mock is that the main course itself is based on breaking that paper down and teaching you loads of stuff. Like there's well over 1,000 learning points on that day. In fact, well over that. But it's more also about technique. Like, why did you put that answer? When you knew the guidelines, when you've done the reading, when you understand the basis of the question, why did you still choose the wrong thing? Why did you get that bit wrong? And where was the gap in technique? And can we change technique so that it can help you going forward? Because often with AKT, people know a lot of stuff, but they lose a lot of marks because the technique's not right. Now, if you've been watching AKT challenge days 1, 2, and 3, you'll have seen us talk a little about technique. Well, this is multiplied manyfold on the live day. So if you head to the website, auroramedicaleducation.co.uk, go to the Big Mock AKT course, type in the coupon Arora Video 10 to get that 10% off, then you'll get an email with links to a mock exam in advance, and then we'll see you for a live interactive course on the day where we focus on teaching, but lots and lots of technique stuff as well. Hope to see you on the live course very soon. Hopefully this day was useful in terms of the challenge, in terms of the question. Hopefully we'll see you tomorrow for day 5 of the Arora AKT 30-day challenge. See you soon. #CampusWillPass. #I went with Arora.